Raptors are back. They take care of business in Chicago. An ugly game, but a W on the board. Let's go to the film room.
The only thing that's originally filmed is that and I've studied older films and tried to figure out how I got that impression. I was getting meetings right in the cutting room.
The unique thing about film is an art form
exactly.
is the editing.
Okay, folks, welcome back from the All-Star break. Hope you guys enjoyed the festivities. Tonight, the Raptors got over some All-Star malaise, a little bit of rust, if you want to call it, offensively. They struggled offensively in this one against the Chicago Bulls. 42% from the field, 30% from three. They scored 110 points. They kind of kept the Bulls within kind of striking distance all game. The Bulls cut into the lead and honestly had a chance to win it there in the fourth quarter. But Brandon Ingram came up massively clutch. He scored 31 points in this game on 26 shots. They needed all 26 shots, though, truthfully. And the key thing to me, the most important thing to me, was the 6 assists that he had. The playmaking really popped in this game for Brandon Ingram. I want to break down a couple of different things that I saw from BI in tonight's game. So using the gravity that he creates in that mid-range area to create shots for his teammates, it's something that I've wanted him to harp on, to continue to stress as this season progresses. And of course, his teammates have to hit those shots. So, double comes here as Ingram drives. That means Mamu is wide open above the break, and Mamu does a good job of taking advantage there. This time, it's kind of a curling action for Brandon Ingram to catch it, moving and curling off of the ball here. And so as we see here, that's exactly what happens. BI catches it. The defense is now in rotation. The weak side defender has to step up here, and that's Anthony Simons. So many Bulls players in different jerseys. It's kind of hard to mark them out. Simons has to step up as the help, and that creates an opportunity for Jacoby Walter to cut off of the weak side corner. Walter with the finish. I thought BI did a really good job in transition in this game as well, watching for these hit-ahead passes. So as you see here, Colin Murray-Boyles is sealing off Colin Sexton here on the inside, and he recognizes that, immediately gives him the ball, and CMB with the finish. CMB with a really good game tonight as well. Clutch situation now. Raptors going into a pick and roll between BI and CMB. And again, the added attention, right? 2 players go to the ball. What is Brandon Ingram going to do as a playmaker in this situation? So he has options at his disposal. He can find RJ Barrett in the weak side. As you see here, Trey Jones is completely abandoning RJ. He's actually committing to Emmanuel Quickley, which is the right call. Quickley's a good three-point shooter. Hasn't knocked down his threes tonight, but regardless, you respect that. And of course, Simons here as a low man has to be responsible for 2 situations. The guy who is rolling to the basket in CMB, and also RJ Barrett on this weak side corner. So BI can manipulate a lot here, and what he does, find CMB, who has a really, really good position here on Simons, and he finishes and 1. Would be nothing without the scoring ability of Brandon Ingram tonight. Again, pick and roll situation. This time he gets the mismatch on Jalen Smith. Instead of showing 2 and sending 2 to the ball, they just decide to outright switch this action, and BI just settles into that jumper. Very pure. I think the chemistry with him and Colin Murray-Boyles is developing really well as well. So as you see here, it's an empty side dribble handoff between the duo. CMB keeps it, and now it's an advantage because Okoro is chasing around this dribble handoff, right? So now BI has a little bit more of a lane to cut, and as you see here, Colin makes a really, really nice bounce pass. BI with the finish in traffic. And of course, Jakob Poeltl played. He didn't start in this game. He only played 16 minutes. Pretty quiet night for him overall, but this is what you want to see from Jakob overall. The screening ability, right? Lays out BI. And look at this window now BI has to attack the slower-footed Nick Richards. One-on-one, so much space. That's exactly what Jakob Poeltl can do for your offense. And boom, BI just attacks and finishes. And so, folks, Brandon Ingram had a very, very good basketball game tonight. He was exceptional in being able to get the Raptors through a game in which they struggled immensely offensively. Scotty Barnes, 5 of 14 tonight. RJ Barrett, 3 of 10 tonight. Emmanuel Quickley, 5 of 12 and missed all 4 of his three-point attempts tonight. It very much so felt like a team that was trying to work through, I would say, a little bit of rust, but also maybe trying to acclimate to some new lineups. Jakob Poeltl came, he played in this game, second game back for him since his big absence with the back injury. Instead, though, Colin Murray-Boyles got the start over Jakob Poeltl, despite the fact that Jakob was available in this game. CMB ended up playing 29 minutes. He had 11 points, 6 rebounds, a steal and an assist, and a block in tonight's game. One of those blocks was a big-time block on a three-point shot late in the game to help the Raptors seal the deal. Colin was exceptional in this game. And sort of sifting through the Raptors' rotation, Sandro Mamukelashvili, who was questionable coming in with a rib contusion, so maybe that's why he only played 15 minutes tonight. But overall, he was a guy who came in, played spot minutes here and there when the Raptors needed offense. And then Jakob Poeltl played 16 minutes tonight. I'm very intrigued by how the Raptors will attack their rotation in the final stretch of this season, because now as they are fully healthy, all respect to Chucky Hepburn, hopefully Chucky comes back for the 905. He's important for their own title aspirations. But now that the Raptors are fully healthy, they have a lot of options in terms of how they can approach these lineups. And truthfully, I saw them experiment a lot tonight, whether it was Jakob Poeltl playing without Scotty Barnes, but playing with a group of Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. I think all of that is by design. It's, hey, how can we get as many reps as possible for BI with Jakob, for RJ with Jakob, for IQ with Jakob? 3 guys who I think benefit a lot from playing with a screener of Jakob Poeltl's capabilities. I know Jakob had a quiet night offensively. Again, 16 minutes, 2 points, didn't grab a single rebound, and that is ultimately concerning for your 7-footer, not being able to grab a rebound against a pretty small Bulls team. But I think he was okay in this one. He looked like he was moving okay in this. The screens were good. The ability to kind of work in space defensively was okay. He looked a little bit better in this one mobility-wise. Didn't come out on the box score. Didn't really pop in this game in any sort of major way. And of course, you'd like for him to actually grab rebounds. But I thought he was okay. And what I'm curious about moving forward is how much they can lean on Jakob in general. As I mentioned, 29 minutes for Colin Murray-Boyles tonight, 16 minutes off of the bench for Jakob, 16 minutes for Mamu. So how do they work through that rotation, and what combinations do they work with? We also saw the combination of Jakob Poeltl and Mamu together, and I think that is also very intriguing to me, because Mamu next to Jakob makes sense to me, at least theoretically, especially as a spot-up shooter, a guy who can attack closeouts. I don't think there is that much of a clash between Mamu and Jakob in terms of them both playing kind of like big man positions, if you will, for the Raptors. I think they could work really, really well together. And so you kind of think, okay, well, what if you were able to start CMB on most nights and have this bigger unit that you can go to with Jakob and Mamu, and throwing in the starters of BI and IQ and RJ in that group, right? We saw that actually tonight, and I thought that lineup did very well against the Bulls. Every matchup will be very different, but I thought the Raptors did a good job of experimenting and trying things tonight. Ultimately, that trying led to probably not as easy of a victory as you'd want. Grady Dick played in this game for 9 minutes. Most of those 9 minutes came in the first half, but he also had a stint in the fourth quarter to start the fourth quarter, and that was when the Bulls made their run. Grady, unfortunately, had a pretty bad game in this one. No points, 5 rebounds, 0 of 3 from the field. And this is a good segue into a player that I thought was incredible in this game, and that is Jacoby Walter. Jacoby came in, played 22 minutes, closed this game, had 14 points, 3 steals, knocked down 2 threes, and he is making a very, very clear case for himself to be locked in to more minutes, more opportunity, and at the very least to be the number one backup option for them in that wing spot. Jacoby was excellent in this game. Now with Ochai Agbaji gone, minutes are up for grabs. I think there is a very, very clear path for Jacoby to play an important role for this Raptors team in the final stretch of the season. Let's talk about Jacoby in the game that he had in this one. First of all, the name of the game, what Jacoby Walter does incredibly well, and this doesn't matter whether he's knocking down his shots or not, he is an excellent point of attack defender, and that starts with ball pressure. So watch as he pressures this ball with Anthony Simons, forces him baseline. BI does a great job of picking up, and they force this turnover. The Raptors forced the Bulls into 20 turnovers tonight. Jacoby was a big, big part of that. I already broke down this play earlier where Jacoby initiated the weak side cut from the corner. And I think he's just like a heady player, makes the right plays offensively. Had a couple of moments where he struggled to finish tonight, but overall, good stuff here. Really hard closeout again on Colin Sexton in this situation that forces the turnover. Again, tons of ball pressure from the Raptors as they force Dillingham to pick it up. And again, it's Jacoby Walter who comes up with the steal. More ball pressure, and shout out to Shed and CMB here as they pressure Simons, and Jacoby is right there to steal this ball. And again, this is the big part right here for Jacoby. He can defend, he can cut, he can make plays defensively, he can fuel the Raptors' transition offense, but he needs to be able to knock down these threes consistently. Brandon Ingram called him the second best shooter on the Raptors after this game. He needs to be able to knock down these threes. It's a big, big part of what he does for this team. Here in transition, clutch opportunity, Jacoby knocks down the corner three. That is what makes Jacoby very, very important for this Raptors team. If they can get shooting from any of their shooting guards, it is a huge win. And right now, truthfully, it seems like Jacoby is the best option in that category. I think RJ Barrett has struggled as of late. You know, he's had good moments, he's had good spurts, but ever since he came back from that ankle injury, it just doesn't feel like he's back to what RJ was to start this season. And again, it's really unfortunate because it felt like he was off to a really, really great start this season. Post injuries, it just hasn't been the same for him. But that opens up an opportunity for Jacoby Walter. And that's why I think he plays a very, very important role for this Raptors team to finish out this year. They need utility from their role players on the wings. You know, when 90% of your shots go to Scotty, RJ, BI, and IQ, you need guys who are going to be able to maximize 9 shots, which is what Jacoby Walter did tonight. So the more Jacoby plays, the more he's able to get himself some rhythm. I think he, from day one, provides something for you defensively. That's a baseline as to what he does for you on a nightly basis, right? And so if he can help you force turnovers, if he can play good ball pressure, if he can generate steals for you, I think that's something that you can rely on night in, night out. And the shot making is something that can be an additive, but at the same time, it sort of needs to be consistent. And that's the thing I'd be looking forward to for the rest of the year with Jacoby Walter and the Toronto Raptors. Very intrigued by some of the stuff I saw tonight, especially when it comes to lineup decisions, the different combinations that Darko Rajakovic is working with overall, what it seems like they looked over during this All-Star break. And I truthfully, like, maybe they just end up starting CMB the rest of the year and have this Jakob Mamu duo come off of the bench. That's not going to be something that they can do every single game. You know, thinking of the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, when they play that team again, kind of makes sense to have Jakob there. This also could be a way for them to slow roll Jakob back into the rotation, kind of ease him into things as he gets his second wind, as his conditioning comes back. All of that is, of course, very, very important. But to me, it's a testament to how much they rely and how confident they are in Colin Murray-Boyles to fill those voids for them. Huge, huge player for them this season. You know, Blake Murphy, shout out to my guy Blake, but Colin hurt his thumb again in this game at one point, and he was kind of holding it and biting it as he was going to the free throw line. He obviously ended up finishing this game, but Blake reported in that moment that Colin is basically just going to play through this pain. He understands how important he is for this team. This team is currently trying to win and win games to get to the playoffs, and they need him. Without him, their options become limited. And I actually kind of like the versatility that the Raptors have at the big man position now between Mamu, between CMB, between Jakob. They have a little bit of options. And of course, Jakob is this guy that has this $27.5 million cloud hanging over him right now. But in like a 16 to 20 minute spot right now, given what he's able to provide you, he's a nice switch up. It's not something you rely on constantly, and hopefully you're able to rely on him constantly moving forward. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, if we can get 15 minutes of a guy who's 7 feet tall, who can rebound for you, who can defend a little bit, who can be a screener for your stars, yeah, that's something you should do. And as that happens, Colin is also developing and figuring things out, developing a chemistry with Brandon Ingram, being more comfortable as a finisher, all of the things that he needs to get better at as a rookie. Really, really awesome stuff from the Raptors. It wasn't a perfect game. It was ugly. And truthfully, as I was watching the rest of the NBA tonight, I was like, how is this the same sport? Watching the Pistons and Knicks game, or currently watching this Nuggets and Clippers game, it feels like this is just a completely different sport, because it was really ugly basketball, especially from the Bulls side of things, but from both sides really tonight. The Raptors end up playing the Milwaukee Bucks on Sunday, which also will probably involve some ugly basketball. So stay tuned for that. After that, the schedule gets a little bit more difficult with OKC and San Antonio coming to town. I will be at the game for those, covering those games for the Athletic NBA Daily. Anyways, folks, as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do the things that you guys usually do. We appreciate you. We're back from All-Star break. Let's rock. Only 30 games left until playoff basketball. I am so excited. We get to cover playoff basketball here on Raptors Republic. Keep rocking with us. Appreciate you. Peace.